Oh, so nearby Brad and slightly further away Lucas. Who's your favourite character from Borderlands 2?
I've only played like half an hour of it, so Claptrap, because I met him early.
Lucas.
Well, I've only completed it maybe like 8 times and got the platinum, so I'm not quite sure. But probably Lilith. It's a solid choice for it. No, wait. Lilith is 1, right?
Yeah.
And then Maya's 2.
Yes.
I always pick the sirens.
I'm not looking so bad now, am I?
I always pick the sirens.
At least I named someone in the right game.
Lilith is in 2 as well.
Yeah.
So I still think I prefer Lilith either way.
Either way. Good choice. Let us know in the comments what yours is.
Oh, bloody hell.
Because the comments on this one are going to be a bit of a mess.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, it's Pride Month, right? It's the start of Pride Month. It is when we're recording this anyway. I'm not sure this is going out, but let's talk about how Borderlands 2 featured one of gaming's first openly bisexual characters, and that their bisexuality was a direct result of a genuine error made during the programming phase. So do you happen to know which of Borderlands' main playable characters is canonically bisexual?
I do believe it's the boring one. I can't remember his
Soldier
name.
Man.
Soldier Man.
Soldier Man, yeah. It's Axton, who is Axton the Commando. Do you want to just take a guess at how they ended up being bisexual by mistake? Because it's actually kind of hilarious.
I think we may have briefly touched on this at some point in the past, or it may have happened with another character. But
Maybe.
As far as I'm aware, it was something to do with they didn't set the AI to interact differently whether you were playing a male or female character, right?
It's something similar to that. So what they planned to do when they were making Borderlands 2 is that they wanted to implement character-specific dialogue. So when you were playing, because the idea is you can play up to 4-player co-op, and they wanted each of the combinations of characters to have like unique things they could say to one another. And one of the ideas they had was to include gender-specific dialogue, specifically flirtatious gender-specific dialogue, where they wanted Axton to flirt with, at the time, the game's one female character while she was being revived.
I'm not saying you owe me, but I'm implying it.
Because we all know the best time to hit on a girl is when she's laying down on the ground bleeding out from a gunshot wound. So at that point you are literally picking them up, aren't you?
It's like, is his plan to flirt, and if she doesn't flirt back, he's like, I'm not going to revive you.
Let's not look too much into it.
No, I'm joking.
This is that thing, is it of like, he would have flirtatious dialogue specifically while reviving her from the ground. And the story goes that while they never implemented that feature of giving character and gender specific dialogue to the game, Axton's gender specific dialogue was recorded but not implemented, which gave him the chance to flirt with any character when he was reviving them. So when the full game came out with all the DLC and stuff, Axton has an equal chance to flirt with any of the game's characters, which include 2 girls, one of which is fresh out of high school, so yeah, calm down there, Axton.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, pretty sure one of them's very young.
Yeah, a 3-foot-tall berserker with like shoulders wider than a car door and a clone of himself, because you know what? That much man cannot be contained to fucking just one gender. And they didn't realise that they did this. This is what makes this so funny. Like, they didn't realise that that was in the game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they knew they'd recorded it, but they didn't realise that they left in the flirtatious dialogue. Which, for anyone curious, the specific flirtatious line is Axton saying, "Hey, do you work out?"
Wow, do you work out, or?
You know, in that way of like, you know, he's picking them up, he's like, he's grabbing it. Do you think he grabs someone's arm and go, "Hey, do you work out?" Pretty good.
It's a very light flirtation. It's not like, hey, I'm going to let you die if you don't go out with me.
It's not saying, hey, love, nice tits. It's like, you know, it's that thing you do, like, you know, you bit out, sparks are flying, you touch someone's arm. It's like, hey, do you work out? And like, yeah, kinda. But with Axton, he can do that with anybody. Because, like, you know, he is, that haircut, fuckboy. Let's be honest. Axton's haircut, he is 100% the big old fuckboy of that game. And they didn't realise that was him, but fans certainly did. And a lot of fans read that to mean that Axton is bisexual, which they never intended in the game. And according to the writer of the game, Anthony Birch, he was asked once by a fan of like, hey, ironically, I'm curious, is Axton bisexual? And it's like, what do you mean by that? So, well, he has lines where he'll flirt with both men and women. Was that intentional? And he went back and he looked at the dialogue. Oh, that dialogue does exist, it is in the game. It was a mistake. But rather than just say it was a mistake, he's not, he thought to himself, well, does it actually change anything about the character of Axton if he is bi? Mm-hmm. And he realised, no, it doesn't. fuck it, he's bi now. And he got the voice actor back in to record more dialogue to make that fact more explicit. Because he just was asked, it was like, oh, is he bisexual? Well, I never intended him to be, but that's an interesting reading of a mistake that we made.
Does it ever stop him from like mowing down millions of enemies looking for loot with his little robot buddy? No, it doesn't.
Exactly, and that's what I love about this like realization. Like there was two options available there. It was either be like, no, do that thing people do and they get really upset. Like, no, that's not how I intended this. Or the route he did take of, that's an interesting reading of that. I never considered it, but now you mention it, that's interesting. It doesn't affect the character. Why the fuck not?
With the Sorcerer's Tower in sight, you think of what you're going to spend your reward money on once you rescue the Queen.
Guns and ladies. And sometimes dudes.
Did all of the, like when they added all of these additional bonus lines, were all of them when people were injured and he was trying to help them?
I'm not sure.
That's the only time he flirts.
I'll try. I think
He
it was
knows when he's got a strong position, okay?
I think there's like the things you can pick up that give backstory. There's one of them where he happens to mention off screen that like a dude that he was fucking at one point, and one of the things that makes this kind of awesome for representation for people who happen to be bisexual or gay is that realization Birch had at that moment. But he realised, well, yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like when he was writing characters from that point on, it's like, well, I'm writing because I'm a straight dude. I'm writing them from my perspective. But could they be gay? Could they be bisexual? Maybe they are. So that's why Borderlands has so many characters who are gay or bisexual, because why not? It doesn't affect their character in any way. I think like Mr. Torg.
Yes, yeah.
Like Mr. Torg's one, like huge buff dude, like everything explodes. Or like Sir Hammerlock.
Pleasure to meet you, Vault Hunter. I am Sir Hamill.
Oh yeah.
When you go, it's like when they record like the dialogue for the DLC, they explicitly wrote lines like Hammerlock's got a boyfriend and stuff, because they just realised, hey, why not? It's a post-apocalyptic dystopian wasteland where corporations rule the universe with an iron fist, and robots are constantly trying to melt your face off. There are probably people out here who just want to fuck and they don't care who wins.
And that, it makes sense when it's like, well, what's more ridiculous that like some characters could be gay or that Butt Stallion exists?
That's the thing, yeah. So it ends up making the game just a lot more fun, for lack of a better term, because
Colourful.
Yeah, quite literally. In the case of like Butt Stallion. We've got to talk. Should we talk about Butt Stallion?
Who the fuck is Butt Stallion?
You don't know about Butt Stallion? You
no.
did not play a lot of Borderlands 2, did you? You don't know about Butt Stallion?
No. Well, I mean, if whatever Butt Stallion is, maybe I encountered it, but clearly didn't leave an impression.
So there's essentially a part very early on in the game where Handsome Jack is like kind of coaxing you over the radio and taking the piss out of you. And one of the things to just show off how much money he's got, like, guess what? I just bought a diamond horse. Guess what? I'm going to name it Butt Stallion after you.
And I want to like just single out that brief interaction with Handsome Jack where I think that like 5 minutes of gameplay with Handsome Jack talking on the radio is not the best, but it is fantastic character establishing dialogue, because people maybe don't know, like you're walking along, as Luke said, Handsome Jack's in your ears, the villain of the game, he's like, fuck you, I'm rich, bollocks to it, and he calls you over the microphone, and straight away, he's clearly calling you while eating stuff.
Hey, how did Brussels suck? How's your day been, buddy? We haven't really talked much since I left you for dead. Hey, you think you'll freeze to death out there? Nah, probably not. Bandits will get you first.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, so, bought a horse, because I'm rich.
Just bought a pony made of diamonds. Yeah, because I'm rich. So, that's cool. Okay, bye.
And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, so he's just showing off, and like, of course he doesn't actually have a diamond horse,
Yeah,
but
then he calls you back like 30 seconds later. Oh, just to clarify, that diamond horse, that's real. It's a real horse. Okay, bye.
I should probably clarify. The diamond horse I've been telling you about, it's not a sculpture or anything. It's a living horse that actually happens to be made of... Well, actually, I'll go get her. Butt Stallion! Here, girl! Butt Stallion! Say hello! Yeah. Butt Stallion says hello.
And from that, he's insecure. So he's rich, but he's insecure. And then he calls you back again. And he's like, Oh, I thought I was going to name it, Piss for Brains after you, but I'm not sure.
was it? Yeah.
What name works? And again, from that you get, oh, and he's petty as well. And that's 3 lines of dialogue, which are very funny. Amazingly well acted by Damon Clark, for that, the voice of Cell from Dragon Ball.
This is no game. Prepare yourself.
And just and he goes, oh, I'm going to call it Butt Stallion. It's like, Butt Stallion! Butt Stallion! And then Butt Stallion turns up!
Yeah, in one of the DLCs, they actually have Butt Stallion turn up.
Who's a unicorn princess.
And I just think, as you say, a great way to establish a character of not only being this massive arsehole to you and super rich and potentially powerful, corporation powerful, not super powered, but but he's also a petty, insecure little dick.
And you get that all from 2 minutes of just walking around melting bandits with a shotgun.
Who else but the most beautiful, most glamorous, and most graceful queen in history, Butt Stallion!
And I think if in another game they put the Butt Stallion joke in, you'd be like, is that a bit homophobic? But because the game so openly embraces that its characters can be gay or bisexual, and people of all sexual identities are welcome to take part in their universe, it's just funny. Instead of you looking at it and going, side-eyeing it a little bit, going, why do they put this joke in? It's because it's just funny.
Do you mean a lot of the lines they had in Borderlands 3 where I was like,
yeah,
ooh.
That's just more because they were badly written.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Just got bad writing.
That game's had bad writing, but you can see in another game or another bit of media, if they had a character called Butt Stallion who's a rainbow unicorn and everyone's laughing at it, it's why do they put? Are they laughing at this? It's just a funny thing to put in, or is it because they're a bit homophobic? And it's it's the former with Borderlands, and it's all because of a mistake they made, and the people behind the scenes realizing. It makes no difference whether or not this character is bi or not, so fuck it, they're bi. And that reminds me a little bit of a great interview with Mark Hamill. I think he was on stage answering questions a convention or something, and someone asked him, do you think that Luke Skywalker is gay? And Mark Hamill, he stops and he thinks, and he says something I never read him that way, but if you do, that's fine.
And they ask you all these questions. I'm getting bullied at school. I'm afraid to come out because my parents are religious and they'll hate me and so forth. It just breaks your heart. And they would say to me, could Luke be gay? And I would say, it's meant to be interpreted by you. If you think he's gay, of course he's gay. If you think he's straight, that's all. Anything you want is real. You shouldn't be ashamed of it. Judge Luke by his character, not by who he loves.
Luke Skywalker can be read any way that you want. And he just stopped, and he doesn't say no, he doesn't have the knee-jerk reaction of no. He just thinks of this fan reads Luke Skywalker as gay. Besides the kissing his sister thing, he never played him any one way or the other. He says, I never played him to be gay or straight. And if you read him gay, that reading is completely valid. It's similar to, it's not an acting role, but it was the actor who played Joffrey. There's a great interview with him where he showcases just remarkable levels of just emotional awareness, where he was asked oh, do you have a girlfriend? He's like, no, I don't. A boyfriend? He goes, no, not one of those either, but thanks for asking. And he doesn't get annoyed by it, which is, again, it just shows that remarkable thing. You can see some people, if they got asked, do you have a boyfriend, would get, no.
Do you have a boyfriend? Yes, thank you. I was going to say that. I am straight, but I thought that was quite a gender normative question. But no, I don't have a boyfriend. Thank you for asking.
Jack Gleeson.
Jack Gleeson, yes.
It's something that I've experienced many a time with having dyed hair, and I paint my nails a lot of the time, and had many people be like, "Oh, are you gay?" And I'm like, "Oh no."
No.
And then
they get annoyed, yeah.
Not even annoyed. They apologise. I'm like, well, I'm not really bothered. It doesn't. You asking me doesn't change my sexuality. I'm not going to get offended by you thinking that.
And there are many examples of that, and it's just they're held up as these are just great examples of positive masculinity. Tom Hardy's another one, where he refuses to say whether or not he's gay because it doesn't matter if he is. But there's those great interviews where someone asks him, I think they should say, "Are you gay?" and he just goes, "Why?" And they just don't ask the question.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't let it go. And it's like, why would it matter if I am or not? Why are you asking that question? And you can tell that the person's like, oh.
Are you asking me about my sexuality?
Sure.
Why?
Why?
Thank you.
Okay.
That's always the caveat that gets them, isn't it? It's like, why do you want to know?
Yeah, why would it matter if I am or not?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't think it. Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, if they were hitting on him,
yeah, it's like
that's valid.
And from Tom Hardy's perspective, it's like, well, it doesn't matter to me whether or not I'm gay, but it clearly matters to you, and I want to know why it matters.
And yeah, if their answer was, I think you're hot and I think we should go out, like, fair enough, you might want to know what their sexuality is, but generally speaking, that probably wasn't the case.
Yeah, and it's usually a question that's asked in a very pointed way.
And I think the really nice part about this story is, as you say, that not only did it, make them say that, yes, Axton can be a bisexual character, it opened their mind up into, like, maybe I shouldn't write all my characters as straight because I'm straight. And I think that's, like, the really kind of inspirational thing to take away from that is that somebody took, like, something seemingly innocuous and took it as a learning experience.
Yeah, as opposed to just, like, completely flipping their shit or being, like, shutting that person down. And that's all it takes. Just view things from someone else's perspective, like, every once in a while. And I know there's going to be someone out there who's mad about it. And I honestly, I don't give a fuck. I really don't care. This is something we deal with all the time. Say something like trans rights or, like, Pride Month or what have you. And there'll always be someone who gets really mad about it. It's like, why are you so mad at that? Why, I'm stop watching your content, you're getting political. It's like, it's not political to say, I think people deserve to. Evidently it is.
Apparently that's a political statement, but just saying, like, we just want people to have human rights and be able to exist happily as who they are.
And it's really telling that you, person I know who's home, was mad about this, gets upset and will stop watching our content because we'll say things like, I want people from minority groups to feel welcome and safe viewing my content, and that I respect their right to live and love the way they want. And like I think that feels like such an innocuous statement to say, but someone out there is legitimately mad about that, and I don't get it.
No, I don't understand, but, happy Pride Month, everyone.
Yeah. It baffles me that it's a thing. Like, Brad, you've been with the channel since the beginning.
Yeah.
And I remember once where you told me of, like, you were with the backlog, right?
Yeah.
And you were saying, like, from basically, like, video 4, we were shitting on the idea of, like, crap men.
Yeah, it's within the first 10 or so. It's the one about the woman who was the Monty Hall problem.
Yeah.
And it was a woman who was a professional, a mathematician or something.
Marie von Stefan.
Yeah, she tried to explain it, and a bunch of men, like, who were, like, they weren't supposedly supposed to be unintelligent men. They had PhDs and all these kind of things, but they were writing in telling her she was wrong because they didn't understand it, and they didn't understand how a woman could understand it if they didn't.
And the specific thing they were saying is you're applying woman logic to a math problem. And we spend that, the latter half of that video shitting on those crap men, which has been, it's been an ethos of the channel since the very beginning. And yet people think we changed. It's like, no, we've always been that. We've always, dunked on people who would, like, think in that, like, small-minded, bigoted way.
And it's just so
you
weird.
never noticed.
It's so weird that people veil it under this, like, weird just idea of it being politics. And it's like, I guess maybe it is, but, like, that's not why you're making that comment. You're trying to, like, veil something else underneath the thing of it being a political statement.
It's like the thing I always say is, like, all media is political, and if you don't think it is, it either agrees with your politics or you're too stupid to understand it. Or you're being willfully ignorant of the politics on display.
Or you're just watching One Piece, which is completely apolitical.
You're not going to let that go.
I'm never going to let it go.
So that was, Brad, you don't know this, do you?
No, I don't.
One Piece, just on this, Lucas, just brief, like, one-line synopsis of what One Piece is.
Pirates waging war against the world government.
Yeah, so, like, the government is the enemy of the...
Did somebody say that wasn't political?
Yeah.
There's
many people.
Yeah, a lot of people do, but there was a clip that went viral a few weeks ago now, where it's like some podcast that talks about anime had a guy on, and he's talking about how One Piece is basically socialist propaganda, and, like, all of, like, Luffy and his gang are terrorists.
They're like social anarchists,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
And you have all the hosts of that, and it's an anime podcast where they do nothing but talk about and, like, discuss anime, like, laughing at them of, like, how do you have this reading from it? And then you have, like, interviews with, like, the creator being like, yeah. It's like, no, it's just like, he's a rubber man fighting There's no messaging here. It's
Fighting the government.
Yeah.
Love One Piece. And are obsessed with everything.
Which is a very political anime, Connor.
That's okay. Well,
it is a very political
what?
anime.
You told me One Piece is very political.
Yes. What aspect? Oh my god.
And I'm always baffled by that. Of like, oh, there's no messaging in the media that I can see. It's like, there is. It's just you either don't get it, or just it agrees with what you think, so you don't think it's a political statement because it conforms to the worldview that you have.
We should do a focus at some point where we go find the films that people have said, or games, or etc., that people have said they think aren't political, and just look a little deeper and find where.
Metal Gear Solid.
You can't say that's not political.
No, people do. People do. I had someone on stream once. I was streaming Metal Gear Rising, which I do every Friday.
Metal Gear Rising, the final villain is a senator.
He's a US senator. I was playing that game, and I was talking about it, and like there was a guy in chat of like, I don't think this is political, and I was on the stage where you are murdering the police.
The plot of every single Metal Gear Solid game is this long-running plot about a group of people trying to take over the world by using government politics and the military because they want to create variations of a world for soldiers.
The first line of Metal Gear Solid 3 is the Cold War. It starts with the Cold War.
After the end of World War II, the world is split into two, East and West.
Exactly, and that's the thing. People I experienced, and I was like, so I don't see there's any politics in what's going on screen right here, as I am fist fighting a US senator who's like, might makes right! And it's like, how are you not seeing this?
Typical politician. Big promises, but all talk. What? All you care about is lining your own pockets. That and your approval ratings. I have a dream. What? Fuck this 24/7 internet spew of trivia and celebrity bullshit! America's diseased, rotten to the core. How the hell did you get elected?
Brad, it's not political.
Yes, it is.
No, Brad, it's not. There's no politics. It's like the best one is BioShock. When people's like, "What? Why play BioShock?" Say BioShock's not political. When it's like, it's the most heavy-handed one to the point where you have like a scene in one of the games where it's like, basically it's a choice of, do you want to like harass the black person or not? Yeah. And that's the choice that you have.
Oh, looks like we've got a shy one here. We've got to do something about that.
So that's the series that was launched with, oh, it's a big moral choice of harvesting energy from children. It's like, there's no messaging here, is there? Of like, you can power yourself up by feeding children into a meat grinder.
It's like, it's been a while since I played BioShock, but don't they build Rapture underwater to get like away from laws and shit?
Yeah, to create their own a utopia in their own vision.
Yeah, it's basically a teardown of why like libertarianism doesn't fucking work. And then people play it and go, no, there's no politics here.
I can't get over the Metal Gear Solid one.
The Metal Gear Solid, it legit happened. Like, I'm on screen.
Like, the villain in Metal Gear Solid 2, the final boss,
is the president.
Is the ex-president.
And you fight him in Washington.
You also, the president dies in it because he gets kidnapped because they want to get stuff from the president.
The entire series is about, like, you know, the proliferation of nuclear arms. Mm-hmm. And how, like, you know, like, they want to create a soldier nation for all of the people who've been disenfranchised by fighting for causes they don't believe in and unite under a banner of, like, no, we'll just fight for ourselves.
And then they've also got the Lalelulelo that are trying to, like, basically be...
He's not allowed to say it.
The Illuminati of that world and, like, try to manipulate world events around what they believe.
Just the fact you fight in one game the president and then a Republican senator.
Yeah, it should be that simple. It's like, this is political because the main boss of the game is a fucking senator.
And that's the thing, is that even if you want to like go into those people, if you want to view it from those people's point of view, they're so fucking stupid they don't see it on anything more than the literal surface. Oh!
It's like, it's on the surface.
Is that Nisha? I'll let her.
It is the surface level.
That'll be the game, the door.
Yeah, I'll Nisha buzzing in.
But yeah, it's literally the surface level, and they still can't get it. It baffles me.
Even even if you want to view it from like the absolute most basic, childlike reading of the thing of like, is it political or not? You are fighting a Republican senator.
even the first one is about them stealing a nuclear warhead and threatening people with that, and it's the whole whole subplot is how they've developed this secret weapon beneath the nose of the government.
That's why it's like bringing it back to the whole Borderlands thing of just like a character's gay and people being annoyed about that. It's like people are gay. Like people get annoyed about it and like why are you forcing this into our video games? Like people are gay.
What do you mean there's one bisexual character in a world full of like 2 games of just straight people?
That's the thing.
Like, they're shoving it down our throats.
It's like, oh, why are you putting this in the game? It's like, people just exist.
Yeah. Well, I've had this conversation with someone before where they were saying, don't you think it's a bit weird how all these films and things and TV shows coming out now have a lot of like gay and bi people in? I went, don't you think it's weird that before they weren't there?
They never existed until now somehow.
You can argue, okay, the Borderlands universe doesn't exist, but they are humans, and humans sometimes are gay.
Yeah, it happens.
Like, there's just some people like that really like fucking dudes. More power to them.